All right, so there's a lot of people who have questions about their insurance. And so I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that I typically get. So basically, at the top, there's insurance plans that you could choose. You have HMO, PPO, EPO. So basically, with an HMO, for the insurance to pay anything, you have to go to who the HMO agency that you're contracted with, like, or company I should say, like Blue Shield, Blue Cross, Health Net, Aetna, stuff like that, whoever they're contracted with. So if the therapist is not in network with them, then you're going to pay 100% out of pocket. The insurance is not going to pay anything. It doesn't matter if the therapist were to bill the insurance or not. They're not going to pay for anything. A PPO, usually you have in-network benefits, which is similar to the HMO, where the insurance pays usually a bulk of whatever the cost is, and then you just pay whatever your copay is and stuff like that. And then under the PPO, there's an out-of-network option, and there's two tiers usually with that: in-network PPO and out-of-network PPO. So if you're using your out-of-network PPO, it means that that therapist or doctor is in no way, shape, form, anything associated with the insurance, and so you're going to pay a higher copay and a higher deductible, which I'll get to in a second. So if you have a PPO and you use someone who is in the network, you're going to pay the least amount of money for that office visit, but you're going to be more limited in terms of who you go to. Whereas a PPO, you could choose whoever you want to go to, and you just pay a certain part that's more than if you were to go to your HMO person. So let's cover like deductibles and copays and stuff like that. So no matter if you have an HMO or a PPO, the deductible is the amount that you have to pay before the insurance pays anything. So if you have a $500 deductible, let's say, then you pay every penny of that $500. The insurance doesn't pay anything. And then once you've paid that $500, then your benefits kick in, which means that you're only responsible for your regular copay or whatever that is. And so the deductible is oftentimes larger for a PPO than it is an HMO. Even within the PPO, if you go to someone in network, oftentimes you have less of a deductible than if you go to someone out of network. Again, you have to then pick someone in their network, which I know sometimes is hard to do, especially if you're looking on Yelp and you're looking on Health Grades and they don't really have great reviews and you want to go to someone with better reviews. You might have to pay more out of pocket if they're not within the insurance company plan. So then co-insurance or co-payment is basically the same thing. Usually you either have a co-insurance or a co-payment. A co-payment is usually a set amount of money that you're going to pay, whether it's 10 or 15 or 20 or $50 for that visit. A co-insurance is a percentage of the visit. So co-insurance is the percentage of the visit that you're going to pay instead of a copay. And so if, say, a doctor, I'm going to use easy numbers, so math is easy. So if a doctor charges $100 for a visit, or a therapist charges $100 for a visit, and your co-insurance is 20%, you'd pay a $20 copay. Co-insurance, because it's 20% of that $100. Whereas if the therapist charges $200, then you'd be paying, that 20% would be $40. Or if you had a $20 copay, it would be a $20 copay no matter what. So now here's where things get a little tricky with PPOs. So the insurance says perhaps that you have a $500 deductible, which usually for PPOs it's more, like $1,000, $2,000 or more, but say $500. So you've met your $500 deductible, but with a PPO, when they say that you're responsible for 50% and they're responsible for 50%, it's only what the insurance says is an approved amount. So if the insurance says that $80 is an approved amount, then they're going to pay 50% of that, which means they're paying $40. So the insurance, say that the therapist charges $100 and the insurance now is paying $40 because they're only paying 40%, you're not really responsible for 50%. You're responsible for the remainder of what the insurance didn't pay. So if the insurance is paying 40% of that $100, they're paying $40, and you're going to be responsible for $60. Whereas if you're in network, then the therapist or doctor usually has agreed upon a specific amount. So say they agreed on $50 that the insurance was going to pay them, and you're responsible for 50%, then that's always going to be $25. But if you're in a PPO, you're also responsible for the amount between what the insurance says that they're going to pay and what you've agreed to pay with the doctor, because they're out of network, so that doctor or therapist can pay whatever they want. So again, if a doctor or therapist is in network and you have a 50% copay, of that $100 you might pay $50. But if you have a 50% copay and the insurance says, well, we're only allowing $80, then your copay is actually $60. I know this is really confusing, but if you have further questions, please feel free to call your doctor or therapist, myself even, before your visit, so you know exactly what that's going to look like, because a lot of people get very confused with insurance. And so I hope I explained it. And again, if you have any questions, please give me a call.